Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for those of you that don't know, or if this is your first time, my name is Sydney and this is my channel Beautifully Simple. So I thought today what I would do, I would just do a simple, quick and easy, light, natural kind of makeup look. This is going to be just my go-to everyday kind of makeup look when I want just like a little something. So I look a little more polished and put together. So nothing crazy. So that is what I'm going to be doing today. And then I also thought I would kind of just talk to you guys just a little bit. I know most of the time I do a lot of talking at the end of my videos, and I'm not sure how many people are watching my videos all the way through. So I figured I would just say some stuff at the beginning of the video. It might help a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go in with my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I'm just going to do just a little bit on my face, just to get a nice base down, because even on just light makeup days, I still go in with a primer just because I do have oily skin. So even if it's going to be something light and natural, you know, I still want it to last and still want it to look good. And then I do have, you know, my pores are pretty large, unfortunately. So I love this primer just because it fills those in, you know, just kind of fills in my pores and just makes everything look a bit, you know, smoother and just better, honestly. So that's the first thing that I do, just go in with the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I really like this primer. This is probably my favorite drugstore primer, honestly. So then I'm just going to go in with my Clinique Acne Solutions liquid foundation, and I'm just going to take my e.l.f. beauty sponge. I did have a beauty blender, but I just had it for so long and it just got old, and you know, at that time I wasn't really wearing makeup that often, so I just got rid of it, and I just haven't felt like spending $20 on a sponge. So the one from e.l.f., it is so good. It's soft, but it still does a really good job of blending out your makeup. And for my light makeup days, or like my natural makeup days, I always go in with a sponge to do my foundation, just because when you go in with a brush, you're always going to have a lot more coverage than whenever you go in with a sponge. So for those lighter days, I just go in with a sponge, and it just helps it look, you know, more natural, but it still does a really good job of applying it. And you still do get, you know, plenty of coverage even when you go in with the sponge. And then what I do is I just go in with a little bit at a time, so that way you can just like gradually build up however much coverage you want to have, because, you know, for those light natural days, you know, you don't want, you know, a full coverage face of foundation on, because it's just, you know, defeats the purpose. So I just go in with a light hand and just gradually build up my foundation until, you know, I have like my desired coverage that I want. Like I said, nothing too crazy. This is really just going to be my simple makeup when I want to look a bit more polished and put together. So that is what I'm doing today. And then usually the concealer that I usually use the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. However, for my lighter days, when I still want some coverage and concealing, but I don't quite want this type of coverage, I will go in with the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. It still is a really good concealer. You still can get plenty of coverage from it, but it's just not going to be as heavy as a Shape Tape. So it doesn't feel as heavy, and, you know, of course you don't get the full coverage like the Shape Tape. And I still go in and kind of just bring it down the center of my face. And that's gonna, you know, it's just gonna help everything blend together, and it's still gonna give you that natural look without, you know, without being too much, but it still, you know, just adds a little bit more dimension and everything to the face. So that's why I still, you know, go down the center of my face with that as well. And then as far as where you apply your concealer, it really just depends on you, and you know, your dark areas and, you know, the places you want to conceal. But I always go in with my inner corner, and then I also go right here, you know, by the edge of my eye as well. And that's just gonna help, you know, it's gonna help conceal, and then it helps to lift your eyes and brighten everything and make you look more awake. Because I know I definitely have an issue with dark circles. I'm sure a lot of people do. So that's just my little tip and trick if you want to conceal your dark circles, make you look more awake. So I definitely recommend this concealer if you're looking for a good drugstore concealer. It still gives you plenty of coverage whether you use a sponge or a brush. But it doesn't feel heavy on the skin, which is definitely nice, especially if you're going for a lighter day. And then of course applying it with a sponge is also going to make it feel lighter as well. Sometimes when you apply your makeup with a brush, it just feels, you know, it just feels like you have makeup on. So I do still go in with powder just because I do have pretty oily skin, so I always have to go in with powder, because even though I'm doing a lighter base of makeup, I still want it to last and I still want it to look good. But I don't go in with a lot of powder, especially on my lighter days. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take just the other side of my beauty sponge and just go right into my powder. And then I'm just gonna go up under my eye and just press that underneath my eye. And we're not gonna bake or anything like that, which I don't usually bake anyways. I'm just gonna go in and set that under my eyes and just press it in. And I'm gonna go on my eyelid as well, just because, you know, sometimes you do get that little like crease on your eyelid and we don't want that. And then also, I'm sure you can tell my eyelids do have quite a bit of color to them. So I always just kind of go in when I'm doing my foundation and just kind of lightly go over my eyelids whenever I'm doing a more natural look. So that way, you know, it still looks a bit more put together without, you know, doing a full priming with concealer and all of that. And then I'm just gonna go lightly all over my face and just press in the powder. And then for my light days, I still go in with bronzer and highlighter, just because I do think, you know, that doesn't necessarily take away from the natural look of things. It just, you know, just helps blend everything together and you still get some dimension on your face, because right now my face is just all one shade and that's it. I don't have any sort of definition or anything. So I'm gonna go in with the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It's hands down my favorite drugstore bronzer. It's pretty warm actually, but it's not orange, which is great, because I think once you go to like the more cooler shades, those are definitely more for contouring than bronzer. And on our light makeup days, we definitely don't do any sort of contouring. And so I'm just gonna take that bronzer and I really just put it all over my face, but I do focus it in those areas that I normally would contour. So my jawline, you know, like around my temples and my forehead. But I do just kind of like lightly dust it all over just to bring some overall warmth to the skin. And then I do go in with a nice angled brush. It's just kind of like a nice flat angled brush, and it's usually the one that I use for contouring, but I just go into that same bronzer, and this is what the brush looks like, and it's actually for contouring. But I'm just going to take it and go down the sides of my nose just to bring some of that warmth and color there. And then once I kind of get that, I'll just go in with my normal bronzer brush and just blend it so that we don't have any harsh lines or anything. But you still get, you know, that warmth and color that you wanted from the bronzer. And then, like I said, I really just go through, just dust the bronzer all over my face. And then, of course, any areas where you might have put a little too much bronzer, like a little too heavy of a hand, you just go over it with your sponge and it'll just help blend it just a little. So I'm just gonna go quickly over my face. Make sure we don't have any harsh lines anywhere. Just keep everything natural and blended looking. And then as far as eyeshadow, I don't do eyeshadow on a daily basis. What I would do, just so I have a little definition in my eyes, is I'll go in with that same bronzer. That's just a nice fluffy brush. This is the Morphe E22. Just a really fluffy blending brush, and I'm just gonna go directly into my crease and then just use circular motions, windshield wiper motions, and just going back and forth with that in my crease. Just something just simple, just still gives you a little more definition, makes you look a bit more polished. And I still go under my eyes just a little bit. Just a quick dusting under my eyes. And then, you know, it just kind of helps it look a bit more, like I said, polished and put together. It makes it makes it look like you put a little more effort into it than you actually did. And then I do go under my lips as well. That's just gonna help your lips to appear, you know, a bit fuller. So yeah, we're just keeping it, you know, just light, minimal. And then I'm gonna go in with this new blush palette that I got. It's from Color House Beauty. Got it at Walgreens. It was like $5. And it is the mini blush palette. So I'm gonna go in with that. And then I'm taking the Farrah Beauty Cheeky N218 blush brush, and I'm actually just gonna go through and just circle my brush all throughout the palette, and then just tap off the excess, and then just lightly bring that onto my face. With blush, I always go in with a little bit at a time, so that way you can just gradually build it up. And then I just think that overall just kind of like flush look to the face just really looks nice. And it'll definitely, you know, help with that natural look that we're going for. And then of course I go in with my sponge, and I just go in with the flat end that I did for my foundation, and I just go over all of that. You know, just blend out any harsh lines that we might have. Just help everything just look blended together. And then for highlighter, I'm going to go in with my usual highlighting palette. It's the Ofra and Madison Miller highlighting palette. You get 2 highlights and a blush. I really like that blush, as you can tell. So I'm just going to go in with the Duo Fiber brush. It's from Crown Beauty. I've had it for a really long time, so the number's not even on it anymore. That's how long I've had it. And I just go in with my favorite highlight shade. As you can tell, I hardly ever use that one. Just go in with that. And then we're not going to do a lot of highlighter. We're just going to lightly dust it in the usual places. So we're going to go on our cheek, above our brows. And I do like to bring my highlighter, so like not only on my cheekbones, but a little bit like on the apples of my cheeks as well. It just kind of gives you like that overall glow. And then I always go on my nose and on my Cupid's bow. And then I still do an inner corner highlight. So I will go ahead and do that. I'm going to take the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's the first palette she came out with Morphe. Looks like this. I'm going to go in with the first shade in the palette. It's called Enlight. And this has become my new favorite shade for the inner corner highlight. It's just so pretty. Yeah, I love it. All right. But you do have to go in with a light hand with this because it can easily be too much. So just go in a little bit at a time and then just blend it out. And I'll go under my brow bone with that as well. And like I said, that's just gonna, you know, it creates just a little more to your eyes. And you know, just like I said, it just makes it look like you put forth more effort, but you really didn't. So yeah, it just helps to open the eyes and make them look bright and wide. And that is it for the eyes. Sometimes I'll go in with just like a nice light shade and just kind of lightly tap it on my lid, and that's it. It's just really simple. And then for brows, I go in with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Shape and Fill. I'm at the end of it. I barely have any of it left. It is my favorite brow pencil, and it's what I use every day. I do have the e.l.f. brow pomade as well. I really like that. But I usually use that for more of like my full coverage kind of days. Just because since it is a pomade, sometimes it can be just a bit harder to make those look more natural. And with this pencil, I love it. It's very pigmented. And it's still really buildable, so you can go in just kind of depending on like the amount of pressure that you're applying. You can go in pretty lightly, and then you know you can just build it up. I don't really do a lot when it comes to my brows. Yeah, just something simple. I am trying to let my brows grow out, so they do look a little crazy right now. I had a pretty big brow mishap a couple months ago. I don't even think it was that long ago. It was maybe a month ago. Where she, and I'm sure you can see all these little hairs right here, she literally just took off the entire end of my brow. And unfortunately, my brows aren't growing back very fast. So I definitely have to fill in my brows pretty much every day. Even when I'm not wearing makeup, I still have my brows filled in, just because I look crazy if they're not. Brows are probably what takes me the longest, just because I am pretty picky about my brows, and you know, I have an idea of what I want them to look like. So usually they take me quite some time. And of course I want them to still look natural. So that's another thing, is trying to find the balance. But I try not to go too crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I'll just go over them with my Morphe Brow Gel. It is the best brow gel I've ever used. It is so good. Love it. Once you use it, oh, you'll be like, oh my goodness, this is the only brow gel I can ever use. It is so good. And it's really cheap too, so that just makes it even better. So I just go over it. The pencil that I use, it has a really nice spoolie on it, so I'm usually able to get my brows where I want them. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And then I will go in with some mascara. I don't usually do false lashes when I do a natural makeup look. So I'm going to go in with the CoverGirl Exhibitionist Uncensored. Probably my favorite drugstore mascara at the moment. So yeah, so just let me know things you guys would like to see in the future. And then of course, any, you know, comments and suggestions that you guys have. I do appreciate constructive criticism. You know, like I said before, if, you know, if you just have like hateful things to say or whatever, just keep them to yourself because I don't really care. But constructive criticism is appreciated. Then I do go in with mascara on my bottom lashes. I don't go too crazy. I just keep it light. Yeah. My natural lashes are just, they're a piece of work, I'm telling you. This is why pretty much always wear lashes whenever I do my makeup. But since we're doing something, you know, light and natural today, I don't want to go too crazy. And then as far as lips, I don't do something on like a everyday kind of basis. Just because my lips do have a little bit of color to them. Whenever, you know, they don't have foundation on them. But I'm actually going to go with this lipstick right here. I have no clue who it's by, what it is, what the shade is. Let me see. Yeah, I got it in an Ipsy bag. And unfortunately it doesn't have anything on it. It just says it's a matte lip color. But it's just a really pretty shade. So I'll go in. And it's actually pretty close to like my natural lip shade. So I think that's why I like it so much. So I'll go in with just a little bit of that. And then I'll take some gloss, just because I really like lip gloss on natural days. So I'm going to take the e.l.f. Lip Lacquer, which is a clear gloss. And then I'm just going to go in with that. So I'm going to take the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. And then I just do a light spray of it. And that is it. I don't want to do too much of it. And then once again, like I was out trying, I'll just go over my entire face with my sponge one more time to make sure we get everything pressed and set and there are no harsh lines. Just everything, you know, just blends together. And that is it. So that is my simple kind of everyday makeup look. Usually when I do this, when I'm not recording, it takes me 10 to 15 minutes. So I definitely consider it my simple look. And I think, you know, it still looks really good. I still feel like I look put together and polished. And, you know, it's just like a little something on my face, nothing too crazy. You know, it's just simple. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. Feel free to like, comment, you know, subscribe to my channel. Greatly appreciated. Please let me know your thoughts below as far as, you know, things that I've done, things you would like to see, all of that. It is greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks.